Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about what I consider my definition of what a quote unquote baller is and society's quote unquote perception of what a baller is, shot caller, and all that good stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Hello, everybody. Now, I know everybody has their definition of what a quote unquote baller is today, but I'm going to talk about my definition of what I consider to be a baller. Because you see them on TV and on the internet, in public, and they're usually looking like this. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about these specific rappers, entertainers, or sports players or anything of that nature, but this is what usually society considers, especially young folks. They consider to be what a baller is, people that, purchase overpriced items such as this. Uh, and then, especially when it comes to jewelry, when it comes to houses that they don't need, you got one person living in a house this size. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. But a lot of times those houses can break you financially. Then they end up purchasing cars like this, and it's like another thing. I remember one time I heard a rapper purchasing about 30 cars of the same brand. I think it was a 30 Lexuses, all the same color, just excessive amount of items, that's not making the money. It's just, at the end of the day, I always tell somebody, when you buy something, always remember, you're making somebody else rich. You're not making yourself rich unless it's really considered an investment. Then that's another thing. Then you're making somebody else rich, and then you're enriching yourself. But those are the different aspects of what a baller is to society and what I consider to be a baller. But we'll get into that situation because you hear it all the time when it comes to lottery winners, sports entertainers, actors and actresses. It's always a sad story, but these people that make billions and millions of dollars, sometimes even trillions of dollars, end up basically filing for bankruptcy on multiple occasions and barely getting by, just like they just work a regular 9 to 5, and probably just makes a low salary like the rest of society. But in actuality, they don't. But they end up in the poorhouse because they don't play the money game like the money game's supposed to be played. Because I always quote Ving Rhames from the movie Baby Boy: when you're making paper, there's rules to making paper. And if you don't follow those specific rules to making money, then you could end up back in the poorhouse or even in a worse situation that you were before you started out. And we will, start with an example like this. You don't want to have that sad face on a regular basis because you had all your money taken away and you weren't playing the financial game in the way that it was supposed to be played. And you can end up like this individual. I love Mekhi Phifer. I grew up watching Mekhi Phifer since I was a kid. I think he's a great actor. I think he's a very intelligent guy. This isn't anything as far as considered a diss or derogatory statement towards Mekhi Phifer, but a lot of people knows that, earlier this year, back in April, he was claiming $67,000 in assets, including a leather bed, a 12-year-old Segway, and then, but according to legal documents, Mekhi Phifer spends approximately $11,600 a month, though he only makes $7,500 a month, and he has amassed a debt of around $1.2 million in back taxes. Crazy, right? $50,000 in attorney fee bills and $4,500 in back child support. It is insane. And the craziest thing is, you would think that when people make more money, they wouldn't have to worry about these specific things. Maybe getting worried about getting sued, but when it comes to back child support, you would think that somebody that makes $11,000 a month can afford child support. Now I know that child support for him is different than somebody making $40,000 to $50,000, $60,000 a year. But you would think that he would amass his lifestyle to the point where he can at least afford to pay his child support and not be in so much debt. I mean, $1.2 million in back taxes? What's going on, brother? It's sad, and I'm sure he's trying to work things out in order for him to get himself out of this hole that he's kind of gotten himself into. But it happens to the best of the people that are in this class of making money. And that's the crazy thing at the end of the day. And then we go to another person, which I was very surprised. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. Love this guy. Another guy that that I watched growing up, and I've seen most of his movies. I think he's a very intelligent guy, and he's probably, well, no, not probably, he is considered the fifth highest paid actor in Hollywood, but he's been under fire for spending lavish amounts of money on numerous things, including $18 million on a 150-foot yacht and $4 million on a failed record label. It's crazy, Johnny. Still a fan of yours at the end of the day, but it's crazy. I remember hearing one time he actually bought a whole island, so I'm just like, and even in this instance, he put his money into an investment, and there are definitely such things as good investments and bad investments, and then obviously with an investment, there's no guarantee that it's going to be profitable. That's why they say usually when it comes to investments, try to start off small, do a little here, do a little there. Once something works, then try something else, and kind of have like a Shark Tank mentality, because everybody on the Shark Tank, I'm sure they've had situations where sometimes they won, sometimes they lost, but they continue trying and they come out being the victor at the end of the day without even really worrying about their losses, because they have more wins than they do losses, and it's sad. And I think, what was it, in 2017, Johnny Depp sued his former business managers, claiming that they made unwise financial decisions without his consent. Obviously, the rebuttal from his managers, they said they have actually, in a sense, they even countersued Johnny Depp, saying that he alone is to blame for his money troubles. They said, of course, they had nothing to do with it, which I think is probably a combination of both, but I'm not going to speculate. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to claim it as fact. He hasn't filed for bankruptcy yet, but according to the lawsuit, Johnny Depp is estimated to be $40 million in debt. $40 million in debt. Like I said, at the end of the day, it just kind of breaks my heart, because not only is he a very talented guy, he's a very giving person, and he's done a lot to help people all at the same time, and he's just a very talented person. But, I digress. Now I move on to Tori Spelling, another person I watched growing up. Yes, I used to watch the show 90210. Get over it. Just kidding. But anyways, Tori Spelling, obviously she's the daughter of Aaron Spelling, who's a multi-million-dollar producer in Hollywood. It's crazy, but the big time issues that she said she's having is the main reason why she has money troubles is because she grew up privileged. She grew up in a privileged home. She's a great living example that you can grow up with all the money in the world and still amass numerous amounts of money problems that most people, including myself, could never even imagine, because I guess we figured we get to the point where we're the daughter or son of Aaron Spelling, we're going to do our darndest to keep that lifestyle all at the same time. But she recently was forced to pay, what was it, about $220,000 to the City National Bank after she and her husband, Dean McDermott, reneged on a 2010 loan. And I would think for somebody in her stature that would be considered pennies, $220,000. And in 2016, she got hit with a federal tax lien for over $700,000 unpaid federal taxes back in 2014. It was a bill that she had back in 2014. Crazy, right? And to make matters worse, she was sued by American Express that same year for nearly $88,000, which I would think would be considered to be pennies to her, but apparently I guess she has that credit get it mentality, and that's just a few examples, because I think that there's more in regards to her situation. But it just goes to show, no matter how much money you come from or how much money you might amass, you can always end up in financial trouble if you do not play the money game in the right, correct way. Now, we're going to go to talk about one of my other favorite individuals, Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton, the DMV favorite, Washington, D.C., Maryland metropolitan, Virginia area. She's born and raised in Prince George's County, Maryland. But she's had some money troubles too, but hers aren't as excessive as the other individuals that I'm mentioning. She's filed for bankruptcy twice, in 2010, and another time it was in 2013. And she sold millions of dollars in album sales, but she's only received less than $2,000 in royalties, which is kind of crazy. And then obviously from her first recording contract, she stayed in debt to her record company for some time. Even with her crazy financial situation, she's still gone on to television shows like Dancing with the Stars, She's even had her own reality TV show. My mother loves that show. Braxton Family Values. Not really a fan, but I'm just not a reality TV show person, so it's nothing against her personally. And even though money issues aside, she still sold over 67 million records worldwide. So that says a lot. And she's the owner of 7 Grammys. 9 Billboard Awards and 7 American Music Awards. But she's living proof that, and what I consider her financial situation is nothing near compared to the other individuals that I mentioned earlier, because she's still standing on her head one, and then she's still doing her darndest to kick butt. So I give her a lot of credit in that regards. But it's just, you just never know what can end up happening, because I say this because when it comes down to the financial lifestyle and things of that nature, it doesn't take much to get in trouble. It really doesn't. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can end up back in the poorhouse or back in the bad neighborhood that you ended up coming from if you don't do things right. And that leads me into my next person, Terrell Owens. Great football player. He's played for multiple teams: San Francisco Niners, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, plus more. Got a lot of respect for this man. His earnings estimated, and I was very surprised about this, not just because this happened, but I don't really pay attention to sports like that, but just a very talented man. $80 million in his NFL career. $80 million. What I would do, and I would imagine what you would do with $80 million throughout the course of a couple of years. But near 2012, he ended up near broke. And he stated, and I quote, "It was a combination of bad investments, large child support payments, and trusting the wrong people who ravaged his finances." And that's the thing. It's like you have babies with the wrong people sometimes, or if things don't work out, if you're around the people that don't have your best interest at heart, but they have obviously their best interest at heart, these things can happen, and they can suck you dry like a tick. Because that's another thing, when you have a lot of money and you start making a lot of money, everybody comes at you and they want to try to suck the life out of you. It's been proven cases, and it's sad, but this is what people consider to be a baller. But a lot of times ballers end up in a poorhouse or close to the poorhouse because they don't have the right people around them, one, and then two, they're not really playing the financial game the way that it's supposed to be played. Now, let's talk about what I consider my definition of a baller. Because my definition is, I think other people's definition, it doesn't make me any special, but I think my definition segues into what, it's not popular opinion, because these people don't really do a lot of flashing. They just let their money work for them, and they let their money speak for them. They don't have to speak for it. We'll start off with Denzel Washington. One of my favorite actors. Grew up watching him, still watch him to this day. I was watching the movie Fences last night. Can never get enough of the great spirit, the great personality, the humbleness of Denzel Washington, never forgetting where he came from. We need more people like him in the world, but that's another story. His network and salary, given the fact that not only is he an actor, but he's a screenwriter, he's a producer, and a director. He has a net worth of $220 million. I'll say it again, a net worth of $220 million. And every year Denzel Washington earns between $60 and $80 million. And he continuously puts his money into things that make him money, because that's the rules of the game, the money game to begin with. And he believes in giving back and giving people opportunities to lift themselves up out of poverty. Like I always say, giving people hand-ups and not handouts. I love it. And I can hope that he continues to do what he's doing in his journey in life. And the thing is, Denzel Washington has a lot of money. Heck, I've been to Beverly Hills and see where his mansion is. He probably has more, but I've seen his main house right next door to Sylvester Stallone and Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, but he still has not let it got to his head to the point where he's declaring bankruptcy. So obviously he's doing something right. Segueing to the next person, Jeff Bezos. This person definitely needs no introduction, because if you're a consumer of any sort, for the most part in 2018, I know you probably utilized the service that this man helped create, known as Amazon. And Jeff, he's the CEO of Amazon. He's held the title for the richest man in the world since last fall. It's crazy. Jeff Bezos' net worth has skyrocketed compared to most of his billionaire peers. And right now his net worth is $40 billion, richer than any other person on earth. And I repeat that, $40 billion richer than any other person on earth. And according to his stock, Amazon stock, he's all up, what is it, about $132 billion. Do your own research on it. Please don't take my word for it. Jeff Bezos is doing it. And it's crazy because his idea or ideas, along with the people he's obviously collaborated with, has changed the world. I mean, you see stores are closing on a regular basis, or they're somewhat even consolidating on a regular basis because most people are ordering stuff online. I mean, I know I order stuff online from Amazon at least 1 to 2 times out of the week, or sometimes, or at least 4 times out of the month. And heck, I'm an Amazon affiliate, so I sell products off of Amazon to make money off of that. Segue to that, if you need anything from me, inbox me. I'll be selling products later. I'll be running different Amazon affiliate ads for products if you need anything off of Amazon. But this guy's amazing, and the city that he comes from, Seattle, Washington, it's my kind of town. I love the Pacific Northwest. Can't wait to get back there again. People are friendly. A lot of us East Coasters think that people from Seattle are miserable and depressed because it's quote-unquote rain and a quote-unquote overcast. But I had an amazing experience out there. I'm not trying to sell it to anybody. Go for yourself. See it for yourself. Awesome city, great tech hub. All the tech companies are there, the big ones, and then some. Great atmosphere. But Jeff Bezos is another person who I consider to be a baller. And usually when you see somebody like him, he's looking very humble, and he does not appear arrogant and cocky and overly conceited like you see with a lot of rappers and entertainers and all that other good stuff. So, and speaking of Seattle, we're going to segue into Bill Gates. Another great person. Got a lot of respect for Bill Gates. Got a lot of respect for Bill Gates and his family. Obviously, people who utilize the software. It's another man that needs no introduction. He's one of the co-founders of the software Microsoft. And everybody knows, for the most part, what Microsoft is. And his network is about $90.2 billion in real time. He's just below Jeff Bezos. But that's his network right there. That's a baller. And as you see him, usually this is how he looks, looking regular, like a guy that's just coming out of a Walmart store. And he's never let his money really go to his head. And the beautiful thing about Bill Gates and his family, he's giving back on multiple levels. Him and his wife, Melinda Gates, they created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they're helping people throughout the United States and throughout the world when it comes to food issues, irrigation issues, economic issues, educational issues, the list, technical issues, the list goes on and on. They continuously give back. Bill Gates has helped launch Terra Power, aiming to provide the world with more affordable and secure, environmentally friendly forms of nuclear energy. Even last year he helped launch the energy efficient city within the state of Arizona, everything off of solar power. Awesome effort. Like I said, visionary. I admire people who are visionary. They create stuff that lasts forever and that changes the world forever, in a sense. And to end this video off, I will say that a baller to me is a person who has a lot of money, obviously, but they're very visionary. They're very humble. They never forget where they come from. They're always giving back in multiple levels, especially from a hand-up perspective and not a handout perspective. And they're visionary, they're idealistic, but they're realistic at the same time, and their perception of reality falls into the realistic aspects of the world and how the world works. And they have more of a worldly perspective, not just a quote-unquote American perspective. And I think when you can amass a worldly perspective, you can always look at things differently for one thing 6 different ways. And I think that's amazing, And not only do they forget where they come from, but the funny thing is what society considers to be a big baller is usually people who are overdressed and overpriced outfits, who live in overpriced homes and drive overpriced cars and overpriced jewelry. But if you look at Bill Gates, and if you look at Jeff Bezos, and if you look at Denzel Washington, heck, if you even look at Elon Musk and look at Steve Jobs when he was alive, the list goes on and on. Very humble people, Mark Zuckerberg, another great example. Very humble people, very laid back people, very giving people, and very visionary people who are willing to do whatever it takes to change the world and change the perception of how people look at the world. And You know, love them or hate them, that's what I consider my definition of what a baller is. Not a person that's just making it rain in the club. They're making it rain all over the world. And they're making money all at the same time, and they're giving back all at the same time. So hope you guys like the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please share the video, and let's continue this great journey known as financial intelligence, financial literacy, because in the end, that's what's going to take us to the next level in this world and in this life. I'm Larry Patterson, and I have to say thanks again for watching. Take care.